My name is Kat, and this is my take on prom makeup. I've never worn prom makeup myself. Like, when I was in high school, I didn't go to prom. I did other people's prom makeup, but I didn't go to prom myself. So this is my first time wearing prom makeup, and I kind of did a little bit of research. I kind of had an idea in mind for my look, but I just kind of hit the web, and there were some interesting things. But I went on Pinterest and just looked up prom makeup, and there were hundreds of neutral smoky eyes. So I thought I would do just a video of me doing my kind of neutral defined eye with like the crease, and just kind of give some tips and like product recommendations. Most of the things I use are drugstore or inexpensive, so I think it'll be kind of fun just to kind of see what happens. Okay, so I hope you like the look. I feel like it's very like nice and neutral. Like, I feel like you could wear this and people wouldn't be like, oh, you look crazy for prom, but it's still pretty. So you know what I'm saying? So okay, I'll just go and get into the actual video now. Alright, so this is a long one, so I hope you're ready for it. I started out with moisturizer. It's good to take care of your skin before prom. I mean, for always. But I put on some chapstick, lip balm, whatever, and I'm actually priming. I do not prime that much in everyday life, but you know, for my prom, I'm gonna prime. And then I'm using this NYX Gotcha Covered Concealer. I actually got this kind of recently, and I am just using my pinky finger to tap some of this onto places where I have things that I want to hide. And so I'm using two foundations that I'm mixing, and I am just using this big old sponge that I got from TJ Maxx to blend it all out. And then I'm using this NYX HD Concealer, and I'm putting on a little more than I usually would under my eyes, and I put some on my forehead and chin, just to kind of make sure that I have that full coverage look that I was going for this prom look. And then you see I'm using my sponge to kind of make sure everything's all blended out by tapping it all over everything. And then I'm using this Lorac eyeshadow base. I think this is the most expensive thing I used in this video, and it's $20, so. And then I'm using this Airspun powder, and I'm putting light layer around my eyes, just so everything's set in, and then I'm putting a little bit more on my chin and forehead because I get oily, and then I'm just doing a light layer everywhere, and then I'm putting an excessive amount under my eyes. I'm not trying to bake or anything, I just don't want any fallout to get on my face and ruin my makeup that's underneath it. So I tried to use this pale yellowy shade as a transition shade, but I wasn't loving it. I've gotten accustomed to using bronzers as transition shades, so I dipped into some light browns in the palette, but I cut myself off when I was trying to show that. But anyway, I'm taking a warmer brown and putting some of that on my lower lash line. I like using warm tones on the lower lash line, especially as I go in with a cool tone shadow. So I'm using this kind of taupey brown to kind of map out a little bit of crease definition. For the first part, it stays pretty light, but for the second part, I go in with black. So, see, my hair was annoying me. So yeah, you see that I'm going in with that brown, putting a little bit more on my lower lash line because I'm planning to do a little bit more later. I feel like with my looks, I don't really do things on the lower lash line deliberately, they just kind of happen, but that's okay. So I'm taking a more blending type brush and just blending over everything, and then I'm taking this darker cool tone brown shadow. This is a NYX matte shadow. I think it's called Underneath It All. And you can see that it's just adding a little bit more definition, and it looks a little stark right here. But that's okay, because we're going to blend it out. We're going to blend it out. And I'm really just going kind of in my crease and then a little bit higher also. So then I'm kind of blending the edges. This is a really simple eye look. It's just with almost any eye look, you just need to kind of layer and blend. So I couldn't resist not using my bronzer, so I grabbed my big fluffy crease brush and blended. And I started out with this little shadow brush using some of this gold highlighter from, who is it, L'Oreal? Not my favorite, but that's okay. So that wasn't doing much for me, so I grabbed my finger. I used my finger to put more of that just on my lid. And then I'm using this darker gold. It's kind of a true normal gold, and I'm using that on my outer corner of my lid, just so there's a little dimension. It's not just like one flat color everywhere on my mobile lid. So then I'm actually mixing that gold with kind of a taupey, shimmery shadow, and I'm putting that on my lower lash line to add some definition, but also keeping it shimmery and like light reflective. And so then I took this Ulta, this is like a little sample, the one on the right, the gold. It's supposed to be like an eyeshadow topper, like a glitter top coat or something like that, and I didn't think it made that much of a difference, so you could definitely go without this, but if it did what it was supposed to, that'd be nice. So you can see it just went over everything with a fluffy brush, or went over everything in the crease with that fluffy brush. And then I'm using some black shadow on a little pencil brush, and I'm using that to kind of map out my wing. I'm using my lower lash line as a guide, which if you don't usually do winged liner, or if you have trouble with winged liner, that's a nice little tip, is to use your lower lash line as your reference point. And then I'm just using just a random black gel liner that I own, and I'm doing my liner. I cut this out because it wasn't really that important or special. And then I took the same black shadow I was using earlier and kind of topped off my liner. If you want a really bold, dark liner and you have like a cheap gel liner or a cheap liquid liner, you can top it off with shadow and kind of lock everything in place and intensify the color. And you can see I went over everything with my pencil brush and added a little bit more black on the lower lash line, and then kind of buffed out, smoked out the lower lash line. And then I'm wiping away that excess powder because I'm done with my black shadow for now. And then I'm putting on bronzer. And then I'm taking a different bronzer, a little bit of a deeper bronzer, and kind of using it as a transition shade for my contour, basically. And then I'm doing a pretty nasty contour, but I feel like if you're going to be taking a lot of pictures, it's okay to kind of go a little extra with your darker powders, but you know, just do what you feel comfortable with. Don't feel like because it's prom you have to do like a crazy cheek contour when you usually don't. You can do what you want. And you can see I'm actually contouring my jaw, which I usually don't do, but I was like, you know what, why not? Just for funsies, let's do it. And then I went with my bronzer brush and kind of fluffed everything out. And then I took a big fan brush and that highlighter I was using earlier and used it as kind of like a base highlighter. You've seen me do something like this if you've seen my everyday makeup video. And then I'm using the same highlighter, smaller brush, to kind of do some pinpoint highlighting. And then I'm grabbing this Fergie highlighter. It's the Wet n Wild Hollywood Boulevard. I feel like I'm a little too pale for it. Like it gave me shimmer, but it's not really lighter in like shade than my skin, so, but anyway, that's not really that relevant. So I'm taking a peachy blush and just putting a little bit of that on. I've not really been into super blushy looks lately, so I didn't do one. And then I'm using what I've been using all the time on my brows, which is the BH Cosmetics Flawless Brow Trio. And I'm brushing my brows up and then filling in the bottom with a dark brown powder, and then I brush them down and do the tops and then fill them in. You can obviously do your brows however you want, but I feel like this first look, a way more natural brow than I do would be really suitable, but for the second look, I probably would pair it with a more bold brow. You'll probably see what I'm talking about when we get there. But it's funny because I still haven't settled on how I want to do my brows. Like I was talking about trying to grow them in, but then brow hairs weren't growing where I really wanted them to, so I don't know. I think this brow shape is pretty good. It's close to what I wanted before, but I don't know. What do you think about the brows? Do you like the brows? And then I just went in with a little bit of a brow tinty gel thing. It's fine. It gives hold, which is always good if you're trying to change the shape a little bit. And then I just took that highlighting powder and put some under my brows. And then I used it around my eyes too. And I kind of went over my highlights. And then I am curling my lashes. And a little tip for mascara, make sure you wipe off the brush if you want to have a clump-free, kind of natural-ish look. Not really natural, but just, I feel like if you wipe off your mascara brush, you get a really more defined look. So I put on lashes off camera, I put on some wispies that are really old, and you can see my lash glue, but hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. And then I ended up going in with another highlighter because I didn't feel highlighted enough. And then it's time for lips now. I'm using this Wet n Wild lip liner that I can never remember the name of, and Colourpop Ultra Matte in Clueless. If I was going to prom, I would probably do this lip combo, because it's kind of a lip combo that I do on the daily. It's kind of, people wouldn't be surprised to see me in this lip. I feel like it would just look really nice. Okay, so then, that was kind of an awkward silence, sorry if you didn't like that. I took out my little buns. If you were wondering about the buns, I don't use heat on my hair a lot, especially curling it, but I feel like everyone wants their hair to be curly for prom, or an updo, but I'm not really an updo kind of person. I'm not gonna wear a ponytail to prom. So, oh, I realized it was the end. Okay, so this is the finished look one. Now that I'm looking at it, it looks a lot more natural than it felt, but I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so for look two, you see I took off my lip color. It's not really a whole different look, it's more like a continuation of the first look. So I'm putting on a little bit of a glowier blush and a little bit more of a berry-ish blush as opposed to peachy as I did with the last one. And let's see, what's she gonna do now? Oh, I'm adding more contour. No, I could have definitely skipped this step. As I said before, did I say this? I don't know. I think this contour was pretty nasty. I don't like it. And you see me putting the powder on my nose. I'm not really trying to contour my nose. I just don't want my nose to look really white while everything else doesn't, because that would just be kind of mismatchy. So then I'm taking my pencil brush, and I didn't add anything to it yet. I'm just using like the residue from other stuff, and I'm just trying to kind of sketch out my shape instead of just going in there blind and possibly messing everything up. And then I picked up some more black shadow, and this is pretty good black shadow in the Coastal Scents Revealed palette, which is what I've been using the whole time. But I I'm just kind of drawing in my crease, and then I'm drawing along my lower lash line, and then blending. I'm using, it's not the same blending brush I was using earlier, but it's e.l.f., and it's like a smaller version. I think this one might be, I can't remember the names of these. I can never remember the names of these, but they're the $1 e.l.f. brushes. One's called Crease and one's called Blending, I think. I can never remember which one's which. And so you see I'm going back and forth between my pencil brush and my tiny blending brush. And then I actually picked up some brown. I think I used it earlier. It's the NYX Single. And it's just a dark brown, darker than any of the browns in the palette I was using. And I'm using that to kind of keep it from being like super, super black. It just kind of makes it diffuse out a little better. And then I'm taking a clean crease brush. This is another e.l.f. brush, but it's from the Studio line, not the Essentials or whatever line. And then I used the same brush and picked up some bronzer. I have to put bronzer in my eyes for some reason now. And just made sure everything was completely blended and seamless. And then I just grabbed a little gold single eyeshadow. It's from Essence. And put that on my lids, a little bit on my lower lash line. I really like to have some shimmer on the lower lash line, some subtle shimmer. So then I did even more highlighting. This is the e.l.f. Baked Blush Gems. And then for lips, I used the NYX, what are these called? The Slim Lip Pencil in Currant, whatever. And so I just lined my lips. I feel like I could have skipped the lining. The lip product I used probably could have stood on its own, but it's fine to sketch out your lips with the lip liner. It's not gonna hurt. So then I used the Ulta lip cream. I can't remember what this one's called, but I'll put the names of stuff in the description. And that is the finished second part of the look. I feel like this is good for people who like a little bit of drama, but I probably could have gone with the first look, or the first look with this lip. So hopefully you liked it. Hopefully this was helpful in some way. I will see you in my outro, and then hopefully in my next video. Bye bye. Okay, so this is the finished look. If you want to, you can tell me in the comments which one you liked better, the mauve lip with less on the eyes, or you like the kind of amped up version. So yeah, I hope you thought this video was kind of fun, and I really hope it was helpful for whoever is going to be going to prom in the future, or, you know, whatever. But I feel like this is just kind of like a nice glam go-to kind of look. So I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.